All right, hello everybody. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Julie Brown. I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I've been a demonstrator for just over 5 years, but I've been in love with Stampin' Up! For probably 12 years. I just became a demonstrator in the last 5 years. So anyway, tonight we are going to be looking at another of these suites that's going to be coming out in the new annual catalog. I know everybody's so excited. June 3rd. So I'm trying to do all of these ahead of time just to give you guys maybe help with a wish list of what you might want out of the catalog. So as usual, if you're here, make sure you type in the comments that you're here. If you have any questions on anything that I'm showing you or going over, again, please make sure that you ask that question in the comments. I see Brenda is here, so hello Brenda. I hope you are doing well and feeling well. And let's see if I have anything to share with you guys. Oh, I do. So March 31st, Stampin' Up! Is doing, I forget what they're calling it, like a day of service. And so for those of you that downloaded that COVID-19 digital stamp set, Sarah Douglas, the CEO of Stampin' Up! Is going to be doing a basically a live party on March 21st. And so it's going to be really cool. And it is open for both demonstrators and customers. So you don't have to be just a demonstrator. You can be a demonstrator or a customer. But let me show you the link to get to that. Sorry, that's me on there. So this is her site. It's Sarah Douglas, Stampin' Up! CEO. And you'll want to be on there on Thursday, March 21st. I believe that's right. Or March. What am I saying? May. So that's, oh, that's this Thursday. This Thursday. So May 21st. And let me see, here it is. And it will be at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. And so if you go into her Sarah Douglas Stampin' Up! CEO, you'll see all the information right here that you guys can then look at, and if you want to be part of that. All right, so let's switch back over here. So yeah, so hey Vanessa, hey Shanine. So I was just explaining that if you go to Sarah Douglas's Facebook page, whether you're a customer or a demonstrator, if you downloaded that PDF with all of the COVID-19 stuff on it, she is going to be going through and showing us how to make cards with that. There is a printout that she wants you to print out so that you can have your designer series paper pre-cut. It can be any designer series paper, does not matter. So whatever you have will work, but she's suggesting that you have that pre-cut. So that is coming up this Thursday at 2 p.m. for those of you that want to do that. Yay! All right, so let's look at the stamps, the bundle that we're using tonight. So this is the Celebrate Sunflowers bundle, and this is part of the Flowers for Every Season suite. That suite has 2 stamp sets, a die set, and a punch, plus designer series paper, and I showed you guys that suite on a previous. But we're going to be working with the Celebrate Sunflowers stamp set and the dies tonight. So yay! I'm so excited. All right, let's get with it. So the first one that we're going to be doing is, remember I told you guys I'm going to start doing some simple stamping. So the first one that we're going to do is going to be a simple stamping card. And I'm using the Misty Moonlight, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then you need 2 4 by 5 1/4 Whisper White pieces. Hey Mel, how are you? So again, remember with all of these, I'm gonna try to start showing you guys how to do the simple stamping first. And then we go into the more complicated areas. Okay, so I'm starting out, and I'm gonna take the biggest stamp in that stamp set, the big sunflower, and I'm going to ink that up with Night of Navy ink. And remember, with simple stamping, we're just stamping. But what I wanted to do was kind of make my own background for this one. So I just kind of started out and I tried to center this sunflower. And I wanted to put about half of the sunflower on there. So it looks like that. Let me clean that stamp really quick. All right, and then I came in with the smaller sunflower stamp. Let me see if it'll fit on this block. Yeah, it does. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of go around the card and I'm going to be filling in. And so I'm just going to ink it up and I'm going to do this corner. Oh, I forgot. I got to really ink on this one. And it's okay if you do some darker and some lighter. That looks just as good. And basically, I'm just going to take this and we're going to just stamp all the way around. Now, I'm going to leave this little corner open, or maybe, yeah, I think I will. So I'm going to come in later and do something there because I want to make sure I can fit all of these across the top of here. And you can see I'm not being real precise in what I'm doing. I'm just kind of going through and stamping. And then I want to get this one here. And then what I'm going to do in these areas is I'm just going to kind of come in and stamp off, but just kind of fill in some of that flower there. All right. And so I may want to put a little bit more right there. All right. So that's what it looks like once you've stamped all around. Let me bring it up so you guys can see it. All right. Let me clean this stamp. Then I'm going to come in with one of the sayings, and I think I'll use the thanks a bunch. I forgot to re-moisten my chamois, so it's going to be a little difficult with the cleaning today. All right, so I'm going to take the thanks a bunch. And remember, I've told you guys, if you want to get these lined up on your block properly, I use my graph paper and line it up with the graph paper and then just pick it up like that. All right. And then I'm going to come in this time with the black Memento ink. Bring this down. I'm lining that up again. You have a better chance of getting it straight if your paper is straight. Then I'm just going to come in. All right, and it says thanks a bunch on the middle. And then for the inside piece, I am going to, oops, do the Night of Navy again. And usually on the thank you note or thank you card, sometimes I put sentiments in the middle and sometimes I don't because I just want to write a note, a special note, depending on, you know, the reason that I'm sending them a thank you note. But again, I just want to show you guys that it's great to have all the tools, and you guys know me, I love all the tools. But if you're just starting out with Stampin' Up, and if you're on a budget, I just want to show you how you can make beautiful cards with just stamping. All right. So I'm just going to use the nail adhesive, and I'm just going to stick that on the front, trying to get it aligned. And then we're going to, I set my adhesive down and I couldn't find it. All right, so then I'm just going to do the inside. And I probably shouldn't be doing my white. Just a note, when you have the ink like that, yeah, see what happened? I smeared that when I ran that over that. So just for future reference, don't do that. Make sure that when you're putting your adhesive on, that you're not laying it over where you've just stamped. I'll have to come in and do something right there. I'll probably just put the flowers all the way up. So, and I'll show you how to do that just in case you guys don't, if you mess up like that. So what you would do is lay down a Post-it note to protect your cardstock right here. And we'll just go ahead and fix that while we're talking about it. And then I would just, again, come in and stamp that there. And stamp that there. Okay, so that kind of fixed it. There we go. So that's how you can fix that stuff. Oh, let's clean this one. Yeah, anytime you're using Whisper White cardstock, it's you kind of have to pay attention to where you're laying it down. All right, so that's how simple and easy that card is. So there's the front, and it just says thanks a bunch, but look how pretty that is. And then the inside, and you can write whatever you want in here. So ta-da, done. So like I said, the simple cards work just as well as the fancier cards. Okay, so the next one, this particular suite also has a the Memories and More card pack with it. So all right. So I'm not seeing too many comments. Did you like that last card, guys? Okay, so this one is going to be a little more complicated. Okay. So we are using the new Bumblebee, and again, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then I'm going to be using some of the ribbon from the suite. And remember, this is one of the biggest suites besides the Ornate Garden Suite, because it has 2 stamp sets. You know, there's so much in this one. And then we're gonna be using, this is from the Memories and More card pack. There's one side, there's the other. And then we need, I believe it's 2 4 by 5 1/4 Whisper White pieces. And then you need 1 4 by 5 1/4 of the Bumblebee. And then this is the Designer Series paper that comes in this pack. And this paper is the 6 by 6, but I cut this down to 4 by 5 1/4. All right. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of build the front of the card first. And again, I should not be laying that over there. I'm doing that because to show you guys, but hopefully that's dried enough. And then we're just going, so sorry that I'm a little offset from you guys, but I'm trying not to get ink on this. So we're just going to lay that down. And then we're going to take this piece and we're going to take one of the sentiments, and this one says, "Know that you are loved." And again, I'm going to try to line it up so it's straight here. Well, that was silly because I need this side. And then we'll pick that up, And we're going to bring in the Night of Navy ink. Get it inked up really good. Probably inked it up too much. Okay, so then I'm gonna, and I apologize if my head goes in, but there's kind of a certain placement that I want this to be on here. All right, so then I'm gonna stamp that sentiment right into the middle of that Memories and More card. And again, you know, I have worked with a lot of the, there's been a lot of companies that come out with these like Memory and More card packs for scrapbooking, but I've just never used them that much for card making. And now that I am, it's like, oh my gosh, this is so easy to do. Okay, so then we're gonna take this and bring in our adhesive again. And then we're going to center this onto the front. Oh my goodness, I'm like having a hard time getting things straight today. I had my grandkids today, and that might be. But we did do Paper Pumpkin today. I don't know how many of you saw my post. I had so much fun with them. Even Emmett, who's 3, did the Paper Pumpkin today. Okay, so I'm going to go that far because now we're going to bring in some of the different die cutting elements to go along with this. And I want to show you how to, Stampin' Up! Is selling this year. They are selling these adhesive sheets. Now they don't look like what I'm going to show you, but they are in the catalog. And I'm going to, let me see if I can find them. Oh, I can show you my catalog. I can show you the front of it. Dun, da, da, I finally got it. So hopefully you guys will be getting yours soon. Yours does not come with all the tabs. I do that on mine. So, but I believe it's kind of in a weird place. So yeah, it's on page 172 when you get your catalog, and they are called adhesive sheets. And so what I'm fixing to show you, it looks a little bit different because these are the old sheets that they sold. And so it looks a little bit different, but it works the same. Okay, so this is what they looked like the last time. Oh, yay, Mel, you got yours today. I'm so excited. Yay. Have you been marking it off? Okay, so this is what they came in before, and I think this time they may not be as long. They may be in 6x6 sheets. I'm not sure. But how you work this out is you just cut it to the size that you want, and then what you're going to do, and I use these adhesive sheets when I'm working with delicate dies. So I only need it on this white piece. So basically, there's this little thing that says peel here. And you just peel that off. And it leaves the adhesive on here. And then you take that and stick it on your paper. And I try to get it lined up the best that I can. And you can see I got a little crease there, so you don't want any of those creases. Oops. Okay, that's gonna make a mess. Wow, I've got sticky all over my hands. Let me bring in my, so that I don't have card sticking to this all night. This is my little glue eraser. All right, and then what I would do is just bring in not my Stampin' Up! Scissors, but a different pair of scissors that I don't mind getting glue on. And I'm gonna cut the top of that off. And then I'll show you why this is such a cool tool. But again, these are on, I think I've told you, page 172. So I've got that on the back of my sheet now. Oh, I keep putting white on the blue. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're going to bring in the die cutting machine. And we're going to cut some of these dies. All right, so the first one that we're going to cut out is the outline of the sunflower. So that's this big sunflower here. So I'm just going to bring this one and I'm going to cut that out. And I don't need adhesive on the back of this one because it's one big piece. And so putting glue on this is not hard to do. Where you want to use those adhesive sheets is when you have very detailed pieces like we're going to have on the white one. So that's that one. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in this detailed sunflower die. And I'm going to make sure I look where I have the adhesive, and I'm going to put the die on that side to make sure that I get the adhesive on here. And because, now remember, because we've put that adhesive on the back, it's a little bit thicker paper. So again, you'll want to run this through a couple of times, back and forth a couple of times. I just want to make sure I get a good cut on that. All right. So there we go. And then what happens, and I always check the back. It's always good to get into the habit of checking the back of your dies before you pull your die off to make sure that you've got a good cut all the way through. That's just kind of a tip for today. So I can pull that off. And let me move, oh, I've got to cut one more thing while we're here. So I need to cut this little centerpiece flower. It's this little die here. So while we're here, I'm going to go ahead and cut that. And this is just basically, I don't know if you guys can see that very good, but it's the center of the flower. Okay? So let me set that down right there. All right, let's get that put back away. This die set has so many dies, and we're actually going to use a bunch of them tonight. Not all on this card, but, oh, I ripped my paper. Oh, well. Okay, so then what you do is you just kind of poke this out, and then I'm going to come in with my take a pick tool, and I'm just going to push all of these pieces out. And this is why you want to make sure that you've got a good cut on this before you take it off of the die, especially when you're using the adhesive strips on the back of it, because like I said, it does make it a little bit thicker. Yeah. And it's okay if some of that comes off, because that's just the sticky part that's coming off. Well, it was coming out. The sticky part is kind of, maybe if I just went ahead and peeled it off, that would be easier. Yeah, I think that's easier. So I went ahead and I peeled it off of, so this is the back of the adhesive strip. Now the back of this is completely sticky, but I do need to poke out all these little holes here. And that's probably one of the more tedious. When you use the adhesive and you have these little pieces like this, they tend to want to stick to the back. And so it takes a little bit of effort to get it cleaned up good. But trust me, it is well worth it. All right, so I think I've got most of those done. All right, so let me get all this out of the way. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this in. And then now I have to kind of figure out how this goes on here, because it actually does fit perfectly, but I have to just kind of keep turning it until I find the right pattern. I think that's it right there. Okay. And probably if you were smarter than me, you could figure out, but because this was the self-adhesive, this whole thing is now sticky. So do you see how much easier that makes gluing that down than trying to come in with your Tombow glue and putting little drops of glue on the back of all of these pieces? This is so much easier. So I would definitely put that on your wish list, page 172, the self-adhesive strips, because look how easy that went on there. So these are pretty awesome. And then I would come in with my liquid glue now, and I'm going to glue my little center to my flower. And this is the new cinnamon color. And there is a method, this one also fits kind of exactly, so you have to kind of, and I probably should have figured that out before I put my glue on. I think that might be it. Okay. So then I'm going to glue that in the middle. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my card back in, and I'm going to take this flower, and I'm actually only going to use half of this flower. And so I want to glue this flower on here, but I want it so that I can see the wording, and I don't want it like coming off the bottom. So you might have to, again, like shift it around so that it fits the best way to fit on here and go around those words the way that you want them to. So I think that's the best way. So then what I do is I turn it over and I draw a line. That way I know that I only want glue on this side. So then I come in with my adhesive and I can glue that down. And then I'm going to put it, whoops, put it back on that front and try to kind of get it lined up the way I had it before, because I kind of had it figured out. Whoops, I need it down a little lower. So then I'm just going to press that down and then take my snips, my paper snips, and just cut this off. And then the cool thing is I now have another piece that I can use on another card, which is always a good thing. All right, so that's where we're at so far. Let me move all my little parts and pieces. And what I do is, because there's still some adhesive strip here, I'm going to come in and I'm just going to kind of cut this away. But I'm going to keep this because I might have something very small that's detailed that I can then use this and still have that adhesive strip on there. So you don't waste that. So always make sure you're paying attention to that. All right, so then I'm going to, let's go ahead and do the inside of the card before I finish the front. So for the inside of the card, I'm going to take that same little stamp, but this time I don't have the Bumblebee ink, so I'm going to use Daffodil Delight tonight. And I'm just going to take that and I'm going to ink that up really good. Again, I'm just going to stamp that off in that corner right there. And then I'm going to bring in one of the other sentiment stamps. And I think this time, so it says, know that you are loved. And then on the inside, we are going to put, and I've got to take this stamp off of here, let's celebrate you. And so again, I'm going to use my graph paper to kind of line that up and get it straight so that it goes on here straight. And then we're going to do this in Night of Navy ink. Get it inked up really good. Line that up. And stamp it. All right. All right. So then we're going to just take this, take our snail adhesive, and they are going to have a replacement for the snail adhesive. I know some of you probably noticed it's on the last chance items. It's because they've redesigned it, and so they will have adhesive for us still. It's just packaged differently, and it's no longer going to be called snail adhesive. Okay. So then we're going to take that, stick that on the inside. And then the last thing that we're going to do with this card is we're going to take, this is that gingham ribbon that comes in that suite. It's so pretty. And I believe this is the Just Jade. It's in Just Jade. And again, for those of you that forget how to do this, I'm showing you once again with my little bow maker. And so you just hang it off this edge. I'm making a small bow. So I'm going to come in underneath the second small leg, stick it through the top, wrap it around the bottom, bring this over, and tie a knot. Now, because this ribbon is really thick, you want to tie a tight knot, okay? Because you want that center to get down pretty small. And then you just take this off. There we go. And then we need a handy dandy glue dot. And again, I always pull my streamers down so that they position themselves correctly. And then I'm going to just stick that in this top corner here. And then I'll bring in my snips. Maybe. And we're going to trim it that way. And then trim this one that way. There you go. So what do you think of that card? All finished. So see, it really didn't take that long. And when you use that, that self-adhesive, those adhesive strips, it just makes gluing so much easier. So there's the front of it, and there's the inside. All right, number 2 done. So does anyone have any questions so far? You guys are being really quiet tonight. Oh, I'm glad you liked it. All right. So let's move on to our last card. This one is, I'm using quite a bit of stuff on this one. So, again, we have, oh, I don't think I have my card base. I need my card base. So I apologize. I'm going to have to cut a card base here really quick. Oh, there it is. I found it. I just hadn't scored it yet. So I will have to score it. So again, it is 5.5 by 8.5. And I'm going to score it at 4 1/4. All right, so again, we're using designer series paper for this one. So let me see, I've got a bunch of little pieces. So for this one, you need the card base, and then you need another piece that is 4 1/4 by 5.5. And then you need 2 4 by 5 1/4 Whisper White pieces. And then you need these, this is designer series paper, and the cinnamon, oh, I forget what it's called, cinnamon, I don't know. I'll get used to all these new colors. And all of these are cut at 1.5 by 1 3/8. So I have 2 designer series papers and then the 2 cinnamon cut that way. And then I have, this is the designer series paper. I'm using this side. And this is cut at 3 inches by 5.5. And then we're going to be using some of the Just Jade and the cinnamon. And these, they can be more scrap paper, because basically you would need to do this whole thing. You would need probably a 2 by 4.25 and 3.5 by 4.25 of the Just Jade. Okay, so those are your 2 measurements. All right, so let's kind of start getting this put together. So what we're going to do is we're going to put these strips on first, and they're going to go directly onto the card front. So, and I think I'm going to use my Tombow glue just because I may need to adjust a little bit. And so these pieces go down first, and I just start in one corner, and I just line it up with the corner. So there's one piece. And I do pay attention on these designer series paper because my card is going to be this way. So because this kind of has a full flower, I want to make sure that that flower is pointing up. So just kind of always be aware when you're putting your cards together. When you have directional paper, or, you know, a flower that, because you've cut the paper, is now directional, you just kind of want to make sure that you're following that direction and making sure that you're placing it so that it's going in the right direction. So we're going to come in with this piece and stick this one on here. And then again, I'm going to kind of look at this and say that I want this to kind of be up. And so we're going to do it where the stem goes down this way. So again, we're just putting the glue on. So I hope everybody's doing well. We are good. And then you will have to trim, especially like this last one. Whoops. Darn it, where's my glue? And I probably, nope, I think I did that the right way. Okay. So again, you will have to probably come in and trim some of this. I'm doing it faster than I normally would. I would pay a little bit closer attention to, I would have maybe started the top one off a little bit more just to make sure that we got them on here even. There. Okay. So now I've got all of those pieces on there. Then I'm going to come in with this other designer series, and it's going to designer series paper, and it's going to go all the way to the left side and overlap this just a little bit. And this one, you can use the snail adhesive because it's not as hard to get this positioned correctly as when you're working with little pieces. Okay, so we're going to get that on there like that. And that is going to go like that. And then I'm probably going to have to, yep, trim just a little bit of the top. And I think I told you guys, when I'm cutting these, I do cut them just a tad bit bigger than what I want, just so that I can make sure, especially when I'm trying to cover the whole card, that way I can make sure I definitely have enough and I haven't cut it down too short. Okay, so that's that part so far. So now we're going to bring in one of our 4x5 1/4 and we're going to do some stamping on this one. So this time I'm going to come in with my big sunflower, and I'm going to come in with the Daffodil Delight. And because it's a big stamp, I always take the stamp pad to the stamp. And I'm going to stamp that. See how pretty that is? Look how pretty that is stamped. This is such a cool stamp set, guys. I really like it. And that, I mean, that flower, you wouldn't have to do a dang thing to it except stamp it. And it just, that's kind of like that first card I did. They're just really pretty. Okay, and then I am going to need 2 of the leaf stamps, if I can find my what I've done with the stamp set. I don't know, do you guys get does your work area get buried like mine does? Mine gets buried so easily. And again, I didn't have the Just Jade, but I did have Emerald Envy, which was from 2016 and 2018 in colors. And so I actually just used this one. Oh, let me think about this. I'm going to stamp that one there. And I'm stamping really close to this flower because I want enough to do my sentiment down here. And I don't know if I've left myself enough room. We shall see. All right, so let's clean that one off. All righty. And then I'm going to go ahead and stamp that Thanks a Bunch sentiment. Was that this one? Yeah. And this I'm going to do in Memento Black. Anytime that I'm going to be cutting out a lot of stuff, I do try to get as much of it on one sheet as I can, because then it just makes it that much easier to cut out. And we're going to be doing a lot of cutting on this one. So I'm just going to kind of try to somewhat center that. Doesn't have to be perfect because I am going to be cutting that out with a die. All right. So now let's bring in the die cutting machine because we've got a lot to cut out for this one. We're going to be using a lot of the dies because I really wanted you guys to see what all, there's so much in both the stamp set and the die set. This is just a really cool set. All right, let's move some stuff out of the way and get our die cutting machine. All right, so we're going to stick this on here and we are going to, and again, this is directional. And I know there is a trick to this, and I haven't figured it out yet. So I always have to just kind of move it around until I figure out if I've got it framed right. And this can, you know what, I think once I get this one done, I'm going to mark it because, and I'll show you guys how I'm going to figure this out. Okay, so right here is how it fits. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to take a permanent marker and put a little dot right there. And the reason that I picked that dot right there is if you look at this stamp, it has some different, the way that the petals fall right there is different than the rest of the stamp set. So I've put a dot right there to help me know in the future how to line this up. So then once I stamp it, it's going to be really easy for me just to set that down because I have that little mark on there. So that's just kind of a tip. Now I'm too close here and here, so I won't be able to cut those out. But I did for this one, I did bring in the, I believe it was the Ornate Garden. Was it the Ornate Garden or the rectangles? No, I think it was the, I think it was the rectangles. Hold on, I have to go grab it. I left it sitting at my die cutting machine station. Sorry. I'm a little discombobbled tonight. Having my I had my grandkids because Tori had to go into work today. And I had my grandkids and I haven't had them in for so long, and it kind of threw me off. I absolutely enjoyed them, but it kind of threw me off my mojo a little bit. Okay, so then I'm going to come in with this, and it is from the rectangle stitch dies. And then we're going to go ahead and cut this when I find my plate. I kind of feel like a hot mess tonight, ladies. I haven't had them in so long, and like I said, I just sat and did so much with them today, and I'm usually prepared way in advance for tonight, but Tori just recently left with them, so I kind of had to get all this together really quick. And of course, as you can see, I didn't have all of my little ducks in a row like I normally do, but it's well worth it to spend time with my grandkids. Okay, so then, and I just want you to see all of these dies, because they pretty much go with like all of this. So these are like standalone dies. They're the detailed dies. And then these dies pretty much cut out. Sorry, I didn't realize I had that out of the screen. These all are standalone dies. They do match up with these this leaf matches with this one matches with this one. These two are standalone. And then these are basically frames that cut out the stuff that you're stamping, just as an explanation. All right, gotta run that. I gotta run this through twice because I gotta get both of those leaves out. And I'm actually gonna show you the difference this time, because I'm not gonna put adhesive on the back of, I am on the one flower, but not on the leaves, because I want to show you the difference of having that adhesive strip and either having it or not having it. All right, and then we're gonna line this one up. And like I said, normally on my magnetic plate, I don't have to tape down if I have new plates. But as you can see, my plates are well worn. They're loved. My plates are loved, right? They're well used and well loved. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cut out some of the standalone dies. So we're going to bring in the Just Jade, and I'm going to need 2 of these. Let's see if I can get this all to fit. That's going to be the trick. And then I want this one, and I want this one, and let's cut those out. Now the leaf is more of a detailed die, so that one would be the one I'm more worried about sending through, you know, more than once. Again, just as a note, you can always turn it over to make sure that it's cutting properly. So there's this leaf. And then here's these 2. And I think I cut 2 of this single one. But I want to make sure I have enough to get another one of these leaves. So maybe if I did this here, yeah, and then I can fit that one there. Perfect. All right. So we're going to run this through. And I know this may not be fun to sit and watch me do all this die cutting, but hey. I just wanted to show you all the dies. And like I said, if I had not had my grandkids tonight, I probably would have had a lot of this cut out in advance, but sorry, I played with my grandkids today. Actually, I'm not sorry, but sorry, it made me not prepared. Okay, so then I'm going to come in with this piece, and I did cut this out, but I realized I didn't need it because I ended up covering it, so I'm not going to cut it out this time. So I want to cut out one of each of these out of this cinnamon color. That one, there's that one. Okay, and then we are going to and you know what, I think I am going to put an adhesive strip on the big flower just because yeah, just because it's easier. So bear with me as I add this adhesive on there. So I'm basically just going to bring out the pieces. And then normally, maybe I can show you, I should show you that anyway. Because I'm not sure if they're going to come in long strips like this, or like I said, if it's going to be 6 by 6. Oh, hey, Patty. Rawlings, Wyoming. Thank you for joining us. We're on my last card. But you can go back and view it later, so no worries. So I am going to just kind of trace this just so that I can cut this piece down. And again, I'll just come in with my snips. Like I said, these adhesive strips have just saved my bacon so many times because, you know, yes, you can use the liquid glue and get all of this glued down, but these adhesive strips are great, and I'm so excited that Stampin' Up! Has them in the annual catalog coming out in June. Oh, I had 2 pieces there. Oh well. I was wondering why that felt so thick. Okay, so we're going to peel that back. Turn this around. Stick it on the back. Whoops. This is probably the hardest part, is getting it to lay down on your piece of paper straight. Okay, lay that down there. And again, remember, come in with scissors that you don't care if it gets sticky. All right. So here we go. So now let me bring that back in, because now we're going to cut out that detailed flower again. Let me grab that, and we're just going to stick that on one end. And like I said, when I have a big piece like this, one of the reasons I also stick it on one end more than the other is so also I have I can use this leftover piece for something else at a later time. Since I've already put the adhesive on the back of this, it just makes it, you know, you want to save your space as much as you can so that you can then use this section over here again. So I'm going to pull this up and make sure that it cut well. It looks like it cut well. Let me just move this out of the way now. because I think I'm done with all my cutting. Okay, so we're going to pull this off, and then, and like I said before, I think sometimes instead of just kind of poking all of this out, it might be easier, and we'll test it right now. It might be easier to go ahead and just pull it from the backing, which yes, it is. Look how easy that all comes out. That was so much easier. Okay, but again, like I said, you do have those, whoops, don't stick to anything. You do have the tiny little dots that you need to get off the back of this. And I don't know if you guys can see this, but those little dots are sticking all over my hands. They're on my nails because they've got adhesive on them. So I just kind of go through and I poke them through, and then I turn it over, and then I just kind of scrape and get all of them off. And they are absolutely stuck to my hands. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take this piece, and again, I've got to sit and figure out how it fits on here. Let's see if I can kind of figure out where those flowers are. This is the hardest part to all of this. If I'd have been paying attention to that die before I took this off, I could have figured that out. So I'm actually, what I do is I just kind of pick a section, and then I try to like match that section, which I'm not doing a great job of right now. Okay, where are those? I think those go there. Ah, see, that was easy. Okay, so then you're just going to stick that down on that flower, and look how pretty that looks on top of the stamped flower. Isn't that beautiful? I love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, let me get all this out of the way. So now we're ready to, and later I would go through, see how on the back of the die it has some of the yellow still in there. I would go back and clean that out before I completely put that away. All right, so let's bring our card base back in. And now we're just gonna kind of, I'm gonna kind of figure out where I want my flower. And oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to do, this is what I was gonna show you guys. I didn't put the adhesive on the back of the little green detailed leaves because I just wanted to show you the difference. When it's this small, it's not as big a deal, but you do have to just kind of put little dots, and you got to be a lot more careful and make sure you're not putting a big glob of glue down. But if I had had that adhesive on the back of this, it would have just been, you know, so much easier. That one isn't too bad, but can you imagine having to do this all the way around that big flower? Yeah, not my favorite thing to do. That's where those adhesive strips are a lifesaver. Okay, there we go. All right. Ha 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 ha. Oh, Mel, I'm glad you like it. That came out so pretty. It's so pretty when you put that detailed die on the top of it. Okay, so basically now I'm just going to kind of build. This flower is going to eventually be popped up, so I'm just kind of building the background is what I'm doing here. And so I'm going to come in with one of these leaves. And this is the best way I have found to do it. And so I just kind of place everything, all the background stuff I place before I put the flower down. And then I'm going to come in with, I think, this one. And I'm, like I said, I'm just putting little drops of glue. Okay, so that's going to sit there. So I think I want this one to sit right there. And then I'm going to come in with my green with the 2 pieces. And again, I'm just, you know, I've got my flowers sitting here. So I'm like, where do I want this? I'm going to stick that right there. And then I'm going to put this back on here. And it doesn't even matter if I keep, like, you know, shifting it, as long as it's fitting the way that I want it. And I think this is the down on the flower. Okay. So then I'm going to come in with my other leaf. Now you can pop the flower up and then try to shove all of this stuff underneath. I have done that before, but then you have to be really careful where you place your Stampin' Dimensionals when you do that. Because if you don't place them just right, then you can't fit any of these flowers underneath. All right, so, and you probably really only need glue on the top part of these flowers, because that's the part, this is the part that needs to stay down. So I'm going to stick those there. And then I'm going to come in. And so what I'm going to do with these last few pieces, I'm actually going to snip them down so that I have a couple more pieces. So I'm going to cut the tops off of these. One, it makes it a little easier to fit it underneath this section down here where it's kind of lower to the bottom of the card. Stick that one there. Stick this one right next to this, or almost on top of this leaf. I'm still seeing those little yellow dots all over my hand. This is too funny. Okay. And then I'm going to save these 2 once I pop this up to see if I want to actually add them in here. So now I've got all of that down, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to just put some pop dots, basically just 4 of them. All right. And then I'm going to take this and pop that up right there. Then I'm going to come in with the little sentiment, and I'll put a pop dot on this side, and then I'll put Tombow glue on this left side. That's how you make that level, is you pay attention to that kind of stuff. See why I didn't put that center piece in the flower? Because I put it on one of the cards that I did earlier and then realized I didn't need to do that. And it kind of looks good with the Daffodil Delight ink and then the Bumblebee over the top of it, because this is darker, and so it really makes that pop a lot more. All right, and then if you wanted to fill in, you know, you could trim these down, make them look a little more, and you could, like, you know, I could fill one in like right there if I wanted to later. So once you pop it up, then you can push some other things down underneath if you choose to. All right. Okay, and then for the inside of the card, I again took my big stamp and I took my Daffodil Delight, and I'm gonna stamp one of these big ones. You're anxious to order this set? I know. Well, and remember, this is a huge suite, and it comes with that really cute the Jar of Love, I think it's called, and it has the cute little jar punch, or the canning jar punch. So yeah, this is a cool suite, I'm telling you. So then I'm gonna take this and I'm just gonna stamp that right in the middle. Oops, I didn't get a good stamp on that. What happened? I think it'll be fine because I'm gonna go over the center with. See guys, I don't stamp perfectly every time. It can happen. All right, and then we are going to put, I thought this was a really cute saying. Especially if you have those friends. I had a friend that was very much about serving others. So this saying would have been perfect for her. Because on the front it says thanks a bunch, and then on the inside it's going to say, I'll show you in just a minute. Congratulations on reaching a whole new level of wonderful. Oh, I love that saying. That's going to be kind of one of my favorite new sayings. Because she was definitely that kind of person. She kept reaching those levels of wonderful. And then this is just going to go on the inside. All right. So what do you think? Whoop whoop. So yes, so Patty, I'm assuming that Mel invited you. I'm so glad she did. Just so that you know, I do these every single Tuesday at 7 o'clock. And I just demonstrate how to make cards. So there's that one. Thanks a bunch. Congratulations on reaching a whole new level of wonderful. Isn't that just pretty on the inside like that? It's just so pretty. So let me just clean up my mess. It's a messy area. And we'll bring back in all of the cards that we did tonight. And remember, this first one was a simple stamping, right? So I just wanted to show you everything that you can do. I mean, and that's not even everything, guys. I still have so many ideas for this stamp set, but I just wanted to do, I really only have time to do 3 if I try to stay pretty close to my hour with you guys each night. So does anyone have any questions on anything? So Brenda, you said you like stamping something in the middle of the inside and doing my sentiment. Yeah. Yeah. So like I said, you can do it either way. This one I did not stamp anything on the inside of because I was going to write something, but you definitely can. So there's that, and I'll bring in it's this stamp. This is the bundle. I'll bring that back up again. So it is the Celebrate Sunflowers bundle. And it has obviously the stamp set and the dies, right? Such a fun set. And then also, let me move this because it does belong to the Flowers for Every Season suite. And that suite includes another stamp set. Let me see if I can find it really quick. I don't know if I can find it. Oh, it was right in front of my face. So the whole suite, then you would add this punch, this fun punch, and the jar of flowers. That's the suite. So that's what's the floor, and then it's, and the suite also comes with those really cute shaker, the shaker for the, yeah, I can't even talk tonight. So for this punch, you can punch it out and then you put the little shaker domes that are shaped like the jar. So I'll probably be playing with that one possibly on Saturday at 10 o'clock. I'm not sure if This has been kind of a crazy week. It looks like Tori's going back to work, so we're getting reacclimated with me watching the kids. But I want to take that back out and put, so this is what I used tonight. I used the Celebrate Sunflowers bundle along with the ribbon and the paper from the Flowers for Every Season suite. So yeah, I know sunflowers are so much fun, aren't they? Love them, absolutely love them. So again, I want to thank you guys for joining in with me tonight. I miss you guys. I really miss you guys. I must say this has been a challenge doing it this way. I'm still not sure what I'm going to do for June. I'm hoping that maybe we'll get to possibly get together in June. I'm not sure. I don't know if our governor is going to let us do that or not. But if not, I will probably do our online class the third Saturday in June, just to give you guys a chance to get an order in for June. And I can let you know what stamp set I'm going to use for the kits. So, just a thought, So I'm just not really sure what to do yet. I keep kind of trying to wait until the last minute. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for being with me tonight. Again, let me go to that website for those of you that came late. Let me switch over to that here really quick. So bear with me for 1 second. So on this Thursday, May 21st, all right, Sarah Douglas, who is the CEO of Stampin' Up, this is open to everybody, whether you're a customer or a demonstrator. She is doing a, called it a Day of Service Craft Party, and it's starting at 2 p.m. Everyone's welcome, and she does have, I think maybe if you click here, it does, yes. So it does allow you to print this off because she wants you to cut your paper, and you can use any designer paper that you want, anything that you have. And you can sit, and she is going to do a ton of cards, but she is going to be using that COVID-19. If you go to stampinup.com, there is a COVID-19 digital stamp set that you can download, and she is going to be using that to make these cards. So if you already got that download, you're set. You just need to pick out what paper you want to use, print off that cut sheet, get it all cut, and then be on that website at 2 p.m. This Thursday, and she will walk you through making a bunch of cards. So it should be fun. So anyway, hope to see some of you there. And I probably will be doing a live. I'll send a text out for sure, but kind of count on me doing a live this Saturday. I'm going to use the jar set, which is the other half of this suite, is the one I will be doing. I will be demonstrating that this Saturday. So I'm excited about that. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for your time. I miss all of you. And hopefully you guys are getting your, I'm so glad, Mel, you got your catalog, and I hope the rest of you get your catalog soon. And if you're on here and you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, please consider using me as your demonstrator. Anyway, thanks so much. Everybody have a great night.